Hello, everyone. I think we can get started. So, as we are gathered here to, explain what is the role of women in pharma analytics, especially for scalable impact models and measurements. So, I'll just hand over to Rachel, and she'll walk us through further functions.
Hi, everyone, and thanks. Us here at Lilly, we are a Microsoft Teams organization, so we always struggle when we're switching into Zoom, even though it's all very similar. I'm Rachel Silvestrini. I lead what's called our Business Insights and Analytics organization, a large data and analytics organization that sits within the commercial space in Lilly, meaning we start our work really a couple of years before our products, our medicines launch globally. And a lot of the work we do is outlined on this slide here. So we have data engineers, analysts, data scientists, business integration folks, and market researchers that work all together. Oh, we just switched from the presentation to a different view. Oh, there we
Sorry.
go. Okay. And a lot of what we're doing boils down to answering the questions that you see around this flywheel here. So no matter what we're doing, we're trying to improve patient and business outcomes through the delivery of recommendations or actions that are grounded in data. The most common questions we get or work that we're doing that we're trying to influence decisions are in the space of answering the question, who should we target? A lot of market landscape questions there. So if you think about medicines that Lilly, a global pharmaceutical company, is making, we are trying to answer the question of things like how many potential patients are within a disease state, who are the treating healthcare providers, where are they located, and who should we target from an education or promotional standpoint. Then we're also looking at how should we engage with our customers, meaning should we engage with them digitally? What type of material should we be getting to certain customers? Variety of questions there. Then how are those engagements performing, and where should we invest our dollars moving forward across all of the spaces that we support? So we had found a statistic that said about folks in an organization such as ours, the amount of women representation is 26% based on a Deloitte published statistic. Our group has above that representation, and we're excited to have a number of women within our organization presenting to you guys on the work regarding where should we invest and some of the decisions or the models that we're using to inform those investment decisions. But if you go to the next slide, I think, oh yeah, okay, thanks. Oh, it just flipped back. So when we look at where should we invest going forward, if we're considering all of our promotional efforts, so think about sales reps engaging healthcare providers or even marketing material that we're putting out digitally, we want to be able to answer the question of how are those dollars performing and where should we invest, or how can we optimize those dollars moving forward? In order to answer those questions, we're building what are called marketing mix models or statistical models, leveraging in order to understand, is there any relationship between our activity and things that like prescriptions being written or revenue that's incoming? Can we quantify that relationship and then compute return on investment and marginal return on investment? And then can we use that information to optimize the spend moving forward. So that's what we're doing with the models that we build, which sounds very simple, but it's actually very complicated and can be even more complicated depending on the geographic region that we are modeling for. We are working across the globe, and across the globe, we have different sources of data and different levels of data granularity. And depending on the channel that we're looking at, say whether a channel is sales reps promoting the product as one channel, or if we're looking at digital advertising towards healthcare providers or even towards consumers, those are other channels that we might want to understand. We have different levels of granularity of even those engagements. And so we're building models to understand that as close as we can get to cause and effect models. So using a lot of causal inference and trying to get at the best answer to make the decision on how to optimize. So that's part of what this presentation is about. I'll hand it over to our next presenter, and then I'll wrap it up at the end with how, again, tying it together to how we're using these models.
Thank you, Rachel. I'll just hand it over to Sameda, who will be taking over the data engineering part. Sumeda?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Ayushi. So, hi everyone. So Megha this side. So I have in total around 9 years of experience. So I've been working with Lily since last 2 years, and I've been working closely with the different data sets that we have at Lilly to provide those clean and ready data to the different teams we have at Lilly. So in this particular presentation, like in this particular session, I'll be talking about the different methodologies, the tools, and the processes that we follow to support different functions across our organization so that we can consistently work with the high quality and well structured data which is basically the foundation of generating meaningful insights and making informed decisions. So Ayushi, we can go to the next slide. Here, I'll be talking about what is the role of data engineering, be it impact modeling, we would say, or be it in any project that we work upon. So it is mostly revolves around these five major pillars that we have for to have a good data set for us. So first and foremost is the foundation that we have is the data collection and the integration. So we have to make sure that we everything all the data sets are correctly integrated in our systems, and we have the unified systems so that we can have the consistent data set and the format and the data format that we have and the format that we required is in line with the expectations. And then after that, data quality management is something that is another important aspect while creating any data pipeline or any data, working on any data project. So data quality is something that we have to make sure that the we have the high quality data, so we don't have anything which is incomplete, which is not in line with the expectations that we have. So for that we obviously have some data validation tools in place, so, and we make sure to have the regular audits as well in the data so that the data which is expected should be there in the system. And then the next step we do on the data is the data transformation and the feature engineering. So data transformation is something we have to make sure that like whatever raw data that we have received, we transform the data, which can be used further by the different systems, and it can be incorporated in different models with ease, so that everyone can generate a right set of insights from that. Then next step we follow is the monitoring and the optimization. This is another important aspect where we have to maintain the maintain that we have the proper monitoring in place for each of the pipelines, so that if so that we can identify the different bottlenecks and track the efficiency of the ongoing process, so that we can make optimize the current process, so that the task can be completed without any hiccups. So then the next set that we follow is the data security and the compliance, so that everything is in line with the expectations of the compliance policies that we have at our organization. So we make sure that we have all those policies in place for us. So these are the major steps that we follow while creating any data pipeline, while ingesting the data, so that we can have a robust system for integration of the data. Yeah, Ayushi, we can go to slide. Yeah, so how do we enable basically our data generation on demand? So we have a internal package which is known as data bar, and it stands for data for business analytics and R. So it's an abbreviation for that. And this helps us to access different commercial modeling data sets that we have at our organization. And it is so the best part about this particular package is it is horizontally scalable, and it is configurable in the way that we can get like different types of data. Like if someone needs specific brand of data, so it supports 20 plus brands, and the user who is accessing the data through this doesn't have to change a lot in their process. So they just have to tweak their like couple of parameters that they have to tweak. Just with that, they can just simply get the data on demand. So it gives us the flexibility, as well as helps us to enable the advanced analysis in our system. Be it any team can access this data. Like we don't have to do any much changes in our process, or any team who is accessing the data through this doesn't have to make a lot of changes. They just can have the data ready in no time. Yeah. Next. Yeah, so the next I'll be talking about the key features that we have. So it helps us, like I talked about, it generate the reliable and on-demand data sets. So users doesn't have to make a lot of changes in the codes. They just have to tweak little bit of parameters, so they can get the data sets on demand. And also, since we make sure that we handle the data with utmost responsibility. So we ensure that the data is very compliant with the use with the data and the information that we have. So this is another which is already inbuilt in this particular package. And then it helps us to derive the different effective experiments as well, because as a package, we can create the beta versions of this package, so that we can have new features inbuilt added for the testing purposes for the different teams, and they can just use that particular package to test their different processes, and we can then make those features productionized in no time. So that's what helps us to this feature basically helps us to have those experiments in place. Then it is a part of different impacts and initiatives that we have here at in our organization. So we can impact different projects. So it can be used across different different functions, and uh, and it reduces since it helps us to have that ease of use, so anybody can use this particular package and access those data sets. So, and plus, since it is helps us, it is flexible in nature, so it helps to save time as well, so that any who needs the who needs to access the data, and they can just perform any experimentations, they can use the data, and they can tweaks the parameters, and the data will be ready in no time. So collectively these are the uh, features which helps us to everyone to make smarter and more compliant decisions. And yeah, uh, Next slide, please. So this is basically the data prep workflow that we have, like uh, like how we are integrating different data sources. So firstly, there is a data as a we have different data sources. We have different data source connectors that helps us to integrate the different data sources that we have here. And then data as a service, something we have the complete data warehouse and data system, database system, where we have different data related to whether it's prescriptions, whether it's marketing cost or OPEX cost and marketing channel. So these types of data are integrated. So here at Lilly, we are using Amazon Redshift for that. So that is there, which serves as a data as a service. Then after that, we have a data processing layer where we use different tools to process the data so that we can transform the data, we can do the feature engineering, we can just create the transformation layer over the top of that so that we can have the correct set of rules implemented for us. And then plus we have the right set of features available in the data. Then after that, analytical layer is somewhere where our data bar comes into picture, which is it's just a configurable layer that we have here. And it helps us to get that particular process data that we have already created in our systems. It just access those set of data in a unified layer so that anybody can like use the data with little to no tweaks. So that is how, and those that particular layer has been implemented in the different impact models. Okay, they can access the layer, they can access the data through the data bar, and it will be available for different use cases. The next slide, please. Yeah, so the data I'll talk about the data engineering tools that we have. So for orchestration and automation, like pipeline automation, and then running on the daily basis, like the monitoring of those pipelines. So we have Prefect over here where we can easily manage as well as orchestrate these pipelines and can schedule these workflows so that we can monitor over on the fly whenever we need to see whether any pipeline is working or whether there is any issue in the pipeline. So that this prefect help us to do that we have the data warehouse and data lake. So we are extensively using AWS for that, which helps us to handle different kinds of and different variety and volume of data. And then with that, to access all the codes that we have, the version control, we have the GitHub in place with us, which helps us, allows everyone to collaborate across different units, and they can just track their code changes, push their code changes, and make and like we can look at the history of those code changes as well, so that we can look at whether anything can any issue comes up, so we can have that version control historical data as well. Then we have the GitHub Copilot added as well, enabled as well, which helps the users to write code through real-time code suggestions. So these are the things that we have here, and this is all about data engineering that we had, which all these features, like I mentioned, help the users across organization to have the good, robust data, and so that we can have a good fundamental layer in terms of data. Yeah, thank you so much. Over to you, Ayushi.
Thanks, Pamela. It
Thank
was
you.
wonderful. Moving forward, Ananya will be taking us over on the data science part for impact model and genetics. Ananya?
Thanks, Aishi. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I am Ananya, and I will be taking you all through on behalf of our data science team to demonstrate our sole purpose in building a comprehensive market mix model to quantify the impact of each advertising marketing channel on sales. Sales in our pharma world is primarily the NBRX, which is like a pharma acronym for new to brand prescriptions. Aishi, we can have the slide. Yeah. So branded as impact models, we have a machine learning heavy framework which captures the causal relationships between marketing activities and sales, um, to enable us to calculate return on investment in various marketing channels and allocate budget optimally. So first, let's take a look at the touchpoint ecosystem, which spans both physicians and patients. For patients on the top, diagnosed with a condition, the journey begins with a visit to the healthcare provider who selects a treatment drug from an FDA-approved market basket of drugs. The HCP's decision to choose a Lilly drug is influenced by various factors, some quantifiable, such as sales rep visits, sample distributions, emails, speaker programs, etc. Simultaneously, Lilly has this direct-to-consumer marketing efforts, like display ads, video campaigns, search ads, TV, OTT media. These play a role in shaping the patient preferences and their likelihood to fill a Lilly drug prescription. So now, once a payer approves the prescribed medication, that is considered as a successful conversion for Lilly. Behind the scenes, this data, often anonymized and aggregated to protect patient privacy, comes in diverse formats. And as Sumegha mentioned earlier, our data bar team excels at organizing and storing this data, enabling robust analytics through MMMs. Yeah, next slide, Ayushi. Right. So in building a robust impact model framework, we focus on several critical components that ensure accuracy and relevance. So let me walk you through the key building blocks amongst the many others that we have, but these are primarily the key factors that we check in and consider while building our framework. So first, at the top is ad stocking or carryover effect. Marketing channels often have, delayed effects. For example, a patient may see an ad but only visit their HCP weeks later due to not having an immediate possibility of an appointment, or delayed purchase following the appointment due to patient's inventory of previous medicines, or purchases from, applying. So applying the carryover and shape effect is relatively easier in GLM models, generalized least square models, right? However, in regional aggregated models, where impressions are aggregated and not necessarily at individual patient or individual physician level, we try to apply lag structures to account for these delays. And in frameworks like light GBM, which I'll get to later on as the primary algorithm that we use for our framework, light GBM is particularly effective here at considering these lag effects because it captures these lagged effects by iteratively fitting the residuals and enhancing the model performance. Next up, to the right below of ad stocking, we have data standardization. So we work with patient level data, which is aggregated to the region level to maintain privacy. Since larger market regions naturally have more impressions, we normalize by calculating average impressions per person. So importantly, the population base used for this normalization varies by channel type, ensuring that there is, fair comparison across the diverse geographies with different populations. Then below that, we have anomaly detection, outlier detection. So outliers can distort model accuracy, as we all know. We either remove or cap the extreme values, and we often end up running multiple scenarios with different capping thresholds to identify the most stable and reliable configuration for the model. Following that, we have imputation of missing values. So missing values can occur in two different instances, important instances, I'd say, like the data was not collected or the data was collected wrongly and it needs to be excluded or modified. We use MISForest, which is a random forest based method that handles mixed data types and performs multiple imputations by averaging across unpruned trees. So this ensures that the robustness is maintained without assuming strict parametric distributions. Up next, we have measurement versus modeling periods. Why we distinguish is because between the modeling period, which includes lag and lead months used for training, and then we have the measurement period, which is the time frame for reporting the key performance metrics. So this separation helps us isolate the true impact of marketing activities in the specified time frame that we are concerned with. Then we have, our model creation, which also has many feature engineering enabled, especially for accounting the seasonality and the trend in the data. Besides, we have few specific flags, groupings, decilings that also may enhance the model learning and capture the variations in the data set. And finally, we have the model choice. So the chosen model type is a binomial model for our purpose, for both consumer level as well as physician level models. Reason, what is intended here is to measure not if the number of patients that went to talk with an HCP got a Lilly prescription, but it is to measure if that those who went to talk with an HCP got a Lilly prescription based on the tactics that were communicated by the marketing channel. So essentially the probability of conversion. Similarly, on the HCP side also, we choose a binomial model to understand the probability of physicians who prescribe a drug class and choose Lilly as the brand. And that is communicated through the physician level marketing channels, which I talked about, right? The peer-to-peer programs and the sample distributions and representative visits. All in all, although this building blocks is not fully comprehensive, but this framework ensures our models are not only statistically sound, but also aligned with the real world dynamics in healthcare marketing. You can have the next slide, Aishi. Yeah, so one question that we would like to answer here, which we often get, is why light GBM? So light GBM was chosen from plethora of model approaches across multiple simple and as well as complex models, which were tried and tested. Why light GBM stood out is because it's a supervised AI ML model, of course, and it's an ensemble of weaker models. It involves creating many weaker predicting models, decision trees, to form a stronger, more accurate model. Then it has higher accuracy because light GBM provides stronger and more accurate predictions compared to linear regression. It's data driven. They're significantly more data driven as they require fewer assumptions over time. And also, like I said, elimination of subjective assumptions that makes it more objective. So this is about the algorithm. Now, after the model has run successfully with the appropriate data extracted from data bar, in a method like light GBM, the central question becomes, how do we ensure that the model delivers consistent performance and produces dependable results? So we address this through three core validation strategies. The first is permutation test. To confirm that the model results are not artifacts of random noise, we conduct permutation tests. These tests statistically validate the model's finding, ensuring that the observed effects are significant and not due to chance. This step is crucial for establishing credibility of our insights. Secondly, we have bootstrapping samples. We use bootstrapping to estimate sampling distributions, standard errors, and confidence intervals. By repeatedly resampling the data set with replacement, we can perform statistical inference without relying strictly on assumptions about the data's underlying true distribution. This enhances the generalizability of our model. Then we have cross-validation using geographies. So light GBM uses cross-fold validation. So instead of random splits for cross-fold, we use geography-level cross-validation technique. And special care is taken to ensure that the validation regions are statistically distinct from the training regions. And this is achieved by randomly selecting DMAs within clusters. Clustering algorithms are applied, and it helps us test the model's performance across diverse geographic segments. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so let's walk through a few calculations and KPIs next. First up is LOCO, which is also known as leave out covariate mechanism. Now, this helps us answer a key question. What would the model predict if the channel in consideration were excluded from the environment, marketing environment? So LOCO measures the difference in predictions between the full model and the model excluding a specific covariate, channel XYZ. So below we present, we also have the formula which we use in LOCO mechanism to quantify the importance of a covariate. Essentially, in causal inference frameworks like MMMs, LOCO helps validate whether the observed effect is genuinely attributable to the covariate or was influenced by confounding factors. So following this, we apply a series of business-defined calculations to estimate impacted NBRX. This is done by multiplying the share of market with the market level NBRX, translating model outputs into actionable commercial insights. From the impacted NBRX, we get impactable share, which is the proportion of the overall contribution made by the channel. Then we have ROI, which is return to investment. Basically, the per dollar invested in the drug's marketing channel, how many dollars do we roughly get back in return? And following that, we have a derived metric called MROI, which is marginal return on investment. And that gives us the delta returns in dollar for delta return in cost expended towards the marketing channel for that particular drug. And it essentially gives us the slope depicting the future outlook of the channel returns. So these are the key metrics that go as part of the executive dashboard for our stakeholders and business leads. We can have the next slide. Right, so that brings us to the last aspect of our impact model data science framework, which is Agile OPEX. Agile OPEX stands for Agile Operating Expenses, and it's a strategic approach that combines machine learning and optimization to guide smarter budget allocation decisions. It is designed to move away from static, rigid budgeting and towards more flexible and evidence-based investment planning. So rather than assigning fixed budgets to marketing channels based on business acumen, Agile OPEX uses simulations and modeling to determine how changes in spend across channels affect the outcomes that I talked about, like ROI, MROI, and impactable lift. So as shown at the top, Agile OPEX is tightly coupled with the impact model outputs as well as inputs. It uses channel level revenue lift and ROI estimates to simulate various spend scenarios using this algorithm called Nelder-made optimization algorithm, and it predicts the impact on sales and marketing share. So techniques like Nelder-made are employed to iteratively refine these budget allocations. And then we have recommendations from the business side also on the max and minimum bounds of the cost that is applicable for the particular channel. So these algorithms help identify the most effective spend distribution across the channels. In a nutshell, Agile OPEX empowers Lilly to adapt quickly to changing market conditions, optimize resource allocation across physician and patient level channels, improve ROI, MROI through smarter investments, and also align financial planning with agile development and marketing strategies. Over to you, Aishi. That was the data science bit.
Thank you, Ananya. This was really great. And coming back to the MLOps operations, just give me 2 minutes. Yeah, coming back to MLOps. So basically, hello, am I audible?
Yes, Aishi, you're audible now.
Oh, is my screen visible? I'm so sorry. There was some
No.
issues.
Yeah, you'll
This
have
is
to.
things. Please allow me to 10 seconds for this.
Thank you for your patience. We'll begin again in a few moments.
Yeah. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, we can see your screen. Please put it in presenter mode.
I'm so sorry. That's some. No, I'm not able to locate my presentation.
You can present it just as you saw before if that's all that's available to you. That's okay. Could someone else share the screen for you? Is that a possibility? Oh, good.
No, but still, I am not able to locate my presentation. Let me know if this is visible.
We see it now. Please proceed.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah, all good, Ayushi. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'll just start from the MLOps and I'll be quick as possible. So as we know, MLOps act as a bridge between data science, who builds the machine learning models, and IT teams who actually deploys and manages them. So it actually ensures the smooth collaboration and hands-off between these roles. It covers everything from building and testing models to developing them in the real world system, monitoring their performance, upgrading them whenever needed, right? So MLOps actually uses the best practices from DevOps like automation, CI, CD, as we all know, continuous integration, continuous deployment. There's definitely a one more which is getting added right now, like CD. So that is a continuous training as well. So machine learning, like model training and evaluation. When I talk about especially what is exactly MLOps, the goal is to make the MLOps models are not just for theoretical, but work effectively in the production and handling real data, staying accurate over time and being easy to maintain. So when we talk about the core responsibility, what MLOps has, so it actually does the development and maintaining the machine learning models, troubleshooting and optimizing model performance for the code reliability, and designing and implementing automated ML flow for data ingestions, training and validation and deployment, ensuring reproducibility, scalability of ML processes. Uh, it's major work. Like for MLOps team, it mostly closely work with the technical teams for the infrastructure and deployment, like a cloud teams, and the data scientists for the model development and experimentation. And the last one is mostly the business stakeholders to align ML solution with the strategic goal of a company. So when I talk about the MLOps architecture, MLOps pipelines are built using modular frameworks like Gedro and orchestrated using Prefect. For us, MLflow handles experiment tracking, model registry, and real-time serving. I'll be covering about Prefect, Gedro, and MLflow in following slides. GitOps, actually, we use GitHub operations. So GitHub operations automates deployment with traceability and auditability. The architecture actually supports the hybrid and cloud native setups. For example, like AWS SageMaker, Azure Machine Learning, Databricks, and whatnot, for actually enabling us to use dynamic compute selection for efficient training, interferencing, and across environment, including edge devices. AI observability tools are also there, as you can see in the architecture diagram. These tools actually monitor data drift, model performances, and user interactions. MLflow actually traces the dashboards, provides real-time visibility, while standardizing release processes and ensuring compliance and reliability. This architecture is actually evolving to support Gen AI agents, self-service dashboards, and edge computing with respect to TPUs, GPUs. Explainable AI is integrated to enhance transparency and trust in model decisions. Moving forward, the technology stack which we mainly use is I'll go one by one, mostly for the orchestration and workflow management. For that, we mostly use like Prefect, which is a primary orchestration tool and used to manage and parallelizing data science workflows. It actually integrates with Docker, Kubernetes to ensure scalable and reliable execution across environments. When I talk about experiment tracking and observability, MLflow is extensively used for tracking experiments, logging models, metrics, and enabling observability, especially for LLMs and dashboard actions. It supports traceability, debugging across self-service and GenAI workflows. Containerization and infrastructure. Docker and Kubernetes are the tools we mostly use for containerizing the application and managing deployment. Tools like Carpenter, Kubecast help with the resource optimization and cost trackings. Moving forward, Prefect is a Python native. When we come back to the orchestration part, which is the major, uh, you know, roles and responsibility for MLOps team. So when I talk about that, Prefect is the tool which we mostly use, and Prefect is a Python native orchestration tool, which is widely adopted across industry to manage complex machine learning workflows. If you remember, even Sumita was also mentioning the same thing. It enables sequential, parallel, and custom scenario execution across various compute environments. Prefect supports flexible allocation across CPU, GPUs, and serverless setups for optimum resource use. We can facilitate massive parallelism and significantly reduces turnaround time. Prefect actually uses a robust error handling. It actually ensures reliable execution even in unstable environments. Moving forward, when I talk about model monitoring using MLflow, the first question actually comes into mind: why exactly we need it? So earlier we had no option to just to backtrack and check what was our last model and how optimized was it. So actually, MLflow gives us the experiment tracking, like MLflow logs parameters, metrics, artifacts for each model run, enabling detailed performance analysis. MLflow supports versioning, lifecycle management of models, and making it easy to track and promote models across stages. MLflow has built-in tools, allow for consistent evaluation and model performances across different runs and environment. MLflow integrates seamlessly with Prefect workflow, enabling automating logging, monitoring with orchestrated pipeline. So for us, each model run is logged within its output store, ensuring reproducibility and traceability. Moving forward, what are the major business impacts of this MLflow pipelines? So, especially in impact model and agile OPEX, this automation, process management, and resource optimization. This reduces a lot of manual effort and accelerate model deployment life cycles. We have continuous testing, debugging, and monitoring, ensuring the robust performance and early detection of issues, leading to more dependable outcome. Uh, this is serving infrastructure, metadata management, which actually supports the scalable deployment across environment and enabling rapid growth and adaptability. Uh, when I talk about major impact of ML flow pipelines are integrating the model analysis and feature engineering, improving the prediction accuracy, and driving smarter business decisions. Moving forward. So for us, when I talk about the MLOps operations flow for impact model and agile OpEx operating expenses, the major key areas are code to container. So for us, developers commits the code to a resource repository, which is a GitHub repository. Then this is containerized into a Docker image. After that, the workflow orchestration. Prefect orchestrate the workflow and the pipeline using the input parameters and YAML validates to initiate impact calculations. Model execution and reporting. The model logs artifacts, generates impact reports, and uploads results to Redshift and S3. So this actually is done internally by MLflow. Agile OpEx integrations. The Agile OpEx pipeline has triggers to optimize spend with the final output published to the dashboards. Perfect. Rachel, could you please take up the closing remarks? I hope.
Over to me. Thank you very much. So, hopefully for everyone on the call, you've heard something quite similar to the usual process for putting data together, doing data engineering, running a modeling process, running an optimization, and taking a look at ML ops, which when you're dealing with billions of rows of data like we are and delivering results for these models on a quarterly basis, it's very important to pay attention to the overall execution of the pipeline. Probably what we haven't talked about as much, and I'll wrap up with, is this is a very important part of our team's delivery and important in building. It's important to build trust with all of our business partners as we're building these models in order to influence the decisions. And so some of the way that we build that trust is by sharing all of the different parts of our process and working with the teams, as there are things that change on a regular basis with respect to the marketing environment, our products, and how they're being promoted or prescribed in market. And we run into problems all of the time that we have to work on and reiterate. And so this is really not a set it and forget it exercise, but in kind of always hands-on learning, adjusting, and changing. As one example, one of our products, we drastically reduced the size of the sales force last year. And unfortunately, at the exact same time as that happened, there was a market entrant for a product I'm talking about, but I won't name names. So there was perfect correlation between us stopping or reducing the field promotion and then a market competitor entering the market. So as a result, we got very different results than what we had been seeing each of the previous quarters. And so it took some time to figure out what was going on, to add indicator variable or look at other approaches to what we might do or change in the modeling process. We worked with our business partners as we were going through this in order to make sure that we were communicating with them what was going on, we were learning from them, and then we were working together as a team. So these models that were described throughout this hour are being used to recommend company, so Lilly-wide media spending for the upcoming year, as well as optimize spend across all of those different promotional channels. They're also being used on a regular basis to improve the overall execution, so more optimization at a tactical level. and to identify new opportunities for prospectively designed experiments. Because while we do some prospectively designed experiments, and that is the true gold standard to get to cause and effect, these models are based on historical execution. We're using causal inference in order to try and understand that cause and effect relationship between marketing activity and sales performance. But when we present the results, we don't want to just say, well, here's your return on investment and your marginal return on investment, and here's where to spend. Well, the executive committee wants to hear that. The brand teams or the teams that we're also presenting to want to know what can they do to improve their performance going forward, or how might they be able to achieve a different result from the result that we are presenting. So there is some back and forth in discussion and iteration on what could we do from an experiment standpoint, how could we learn more, and now we're even starting to integrate an understanding of different performance of marketing based on the creative content and the content within the marketing that we're measuring. So lots of good opportunities to also continue to improve and change our modeling process going forward. With that, I think I'll close it out, and I'm sure we could take a couple of minutes of questions if there are any.
Yep. Thank you, Rachel. Sorry, I don't see any questions in the chat. Yes, we got one question in the chat from Cynthia. Given the focus on marketing and the terms like ROI, do you wish statistician took more business classes?
I think there's a lot of on-the-job learning that everyone does here once they join the team and are doing the work. I was a former professor before I moved to industry and took a job here at Lilly, and so I taught a fair amount of stats courses. I think statisticians and data scientists go into all kinds of different fields, and depending on the field that you go into, it's certainly important to take, whether it's courses or do on-the-job training on the context for the work that you're doing. So there is a lot of upskilling that we do with our own team once they join, in terms of teaching them about business and the work and understanding business acumen, which is certainly very important for the jobs here in our group. But then there are statisticians in Lilly that work on the clinical side, and understanding the medicines and or clinical trials and how they work is very important context for those jobs.
Cynthia, do we have any other questions, or we are good to close?
I don't see any further questions. I'd like to thank this group for their wonderful presentations, and we will begin to move on to the next session. While we're preparing for that next section, I will take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors. Please hold.